Hello, Bio 2 students. This is I was planning a demo last week for the part D of Learning Guide 2. So this is supposed to be thinking like a plant surgeon, but we replaced it with a different activity because we thought na not everybody has access to flowers and flowering plants. So I'm just going to do a demo. Oops, you already see a flower. Well, you see the pollinators scurrying around. Actually, medyo nalalanta na yung flower. So, sisimulan ko na. Okay, so it took me a while and hiningi pa namin to sa, well, not kapitbahay na malapit lang. But around our subdivision, we found this Gumamela plant na maraming flowers. So, nanghingi kami kanina. Ayan. So, this is Gumamela or Hibiscus, Rosa sinensis. Okay? So, if you notice, if you look around naman, maraming variants yan. Diba? Iba-ibang colors, iba-ibang shapes. Okay? But we're going to look at this flower in particular. It's a complete flower. Okay? And it actually has both male and female parts. So again, what is a flower? It's the organ of plants, or the plant part that is actually responsible for sexual reproduction. Okay, so if you take a look at this Gumamela flower, kita nyo may may ants na naglalakwat siya pa dun sa loob. Okay? So, yan yung pollinator. So, as you can tell, it's very colorful. Okay? It actually blooms during the daytime. So, a day blooming flower is colorful. It has large petals. Ang dami langgam. Okay. It has large petals. Okay? And it's very attractive. Okay? So, you can have different types of pollinators, usually insects and other animals, that they're attracted to the coloring of the flower, and the petals are big and bright, so you can see it from afar. Okay, so start na tayo. So if you notice, diba, flowers usually have, well, this flower in particular is radially symmetric. Okay, so everything is arranged in a ring. There are different types of flowers, and maybe I can show you some later on. Siguro pictures na lang of I was planning to take a walk kasi sa garden or dito sa labas ng bahay para tignan na mag flower walk sana tayo, ikot tayo, tapos we'll take a look at the different flowers and see how they look, because they're different from each other. But this one in particular, we don't have this here at home. Like I said earlier, nanghingi pa kami sa kapitbahay. So you can see that the structures are arranged in a ring. Okay, so it's actually attached to the plant through, oops, out of focus. Okay, this stalk here, it's called pedicel. Okay, pedicel. So this stalk is where the flower grows from. This is attached. This attaches it to the rest of the plant. Okay, so that's the pedicel. Now, so if you look on the outside of the flower, you have these green structures. They actually resemble leaves. Ano? These are called the sepals. These bigger ones. Okay. Ito, meron pa siyang mas maliit. Bract ito. B-R-A-C-T. I'll just include it siguro dun sa notes. Or if I have time later, I'll put labels on the video. So, these are bracts. So, these smaller leaves. Okay. And leaf-like structures. As you can see, they're also arranged like a ring. Okay. Ayan. So, bract. Ito ay bract. Okay. Now, you also have these larger leaf-like structures are called the sepals. Okay. S-E-P-A-L. S. Plural siya. So, ito, anong function yan? When the flower was still a bud, okay, ito yung nagpo-protect sa kanya, yung sepals. Now, collectively, they're called the calyx. Okay? So, nakasara yan dati while the flower was still developing inside. Okay. Oh, I'm not cutting anything yet. I haven't done this in a long, long time. So, I'm trying to be careful. Na actually, sorry, medyo bruised na tong bulaklak na to. Kanina ang ganda-ganda niya, nakabukas pa talaga siya. So now, we go inward. We now look at the petals. So, notice that they're also arranged in a ring. Okay. So, like I said, these are brightly colored because Gumamela is a day-blooming plant. Okay. So, also, at the base of it, it produces nectar. I'm not sure if you did this as kids. When we were kids kasi, there's this plant in front of the canteen sa Pisay. May Gumamela siya. Yung Gumamelang hindi ganito, pero yung medyo sarado. Okay? So, what we do is you cut the base of it and then you can actually sip the nectar. Then, ginagamit din siya, matamis siya. Parang yung santanan. And then, ginagamit din siyang pang gawa ng bubble solution. Yung Gumamela. Okay. So, yun yung part ng kung ba't na-attract yung pollinator sa kanya. It's the sweet liquid, the nectar, and also the bright coloration. Okay? And along the way, of course, they pick up the pollen and then spread it around this flower and other flowers when they move on to a different flower or plant. Okay? So these are the petals. And if you notice, I don't have a magnifying glass dun sa instructions, diba? But you can also see that there's venation. Okay? It's actually similar to the structure of the leaves where you have veins. Okay? But of course, the coloring is very different. It's bright. It sets it apart from the rest of the plant. Okay? So when you have pollinators, dun siya pupunta. O, yun yung kanyang pakay kasi nakikita niyang brightly colored. And they know, of course, learned behavior then, that there will be nectar inside. Okay? So, huwag kayong magugulat habang nagda-dissect tayo, may mga ma-encounter tayong pollinator. Okay. So, to get to the other parts, ano ba to? Cut muna natin yung labas. I don't have a scalpel, but I do have my handy-dandy box cutter. Okay? So, tanggalin ko muna si Brax. Gusto ko sanang, doon sa ibang flower dissection na video, they can remove it as a ring eh. I'm not sure that I can do that. Since I haven't done this in a while. So, most likely, I'll just take it apart. Oh, no. Okay. O, ingat siya na, if you do decide to venture into flower dissection, dun sa, yun na yung sap. Okay. Mag-ingat kayo. Tanggal ko yung bract. So, hindi ko siya matanggal sa ring. Isa-isahin na lang natin. Sorry for the shadow. Madilim na sa labas. So, yan yung bracts. You can see they're small, leaf-like structures. Okay. So, kasama siya dun sa support ng flower habang nagde-develop pa lang. Nasa labas siya nung sepals, protecting the bud. And that's a nice color green. Okay. I'm using a really old phone, but I'm keeping it because the camera is nice. Hopefully, this video will turn out okay. Okay, so I've removed the bracts. And then I'm going to remove the sepals very carefully. Okay. I'm not very good at editing, so baka isang pasada na lang to. I hope I don't cut too deep. Okay. Yan. So, itong sepal kaya kong ma-remove in a ring. May tira-tira sa dulo. Okay. There. Okay. So, so that liquid is sweet. I just tasted it. Okay. So, that's the nectar. If you can see, yun, may nectar pa siya. Maya-maya, mai-encounter na natin yung mga langgam. So, this is the calyx. So, collectively, that's called the calyx. Yung lahat ng sepals all together. And then, earlier, we had the bracts. Sorry. Baka magiging mahaba tong video na to. Sorry, I'm so informal. It's the end of the day. We did errands kanina. And it's the first time I've been outside the house since, since a few weeks. So, since nag-quarantine, actually, 3 beses pa lang akong lumabas ng bahay. Umalis. Kasi lumalabas naman ako ng bahay. Diyan lang sa labas. Pero yung as in umalis, 3rd time ko pa lang kanina. Okay. So, natanggalan natin si bracts, si sepals. So, now, we have the petals. Okay? So, this is also, they also form a ring. So, collectively, the petals are called the corolla. So, hindi lang siya car. It actually is a flower part. Okay? So, collectively, the petals are called the corolla. Okay? So, let's see if we can try to remove it as a ring. Mahirap to Okay. Ay, nako. Ayan na. I'm pulling it apart. Ayan! Sorry. Off camera ba? Okay. 2 petals down. Iniingatan ko kasi meron tayong gustong makita dun sa loob eh. Okay. Hindi ko siya matanggal ang kabit-kabit. Sorry. Sorry, flower. Nag-hesitate ako kasi actually matagal na kaming hindi nagpa-flower dissection. Okay? Kasi ayaw rin naming patayin yung mga patayin. Na i-collect ng mga kids, ubusin yung mga flowers na nasa Pisay. May mga gumamela pa rin sa Pisay. But we don't do the flower dissection anymore. Kasi nga, mauubos siya. Like, right outside the Bio 1 lab, I know that there's a couple of gumamela plants. Similar to this. Maybe red. More red than pink. Okay. So, natanggalan natin yung outer parts. Yung sepals, yung petals, yung bracts. We're now looking at, these are the structures actually, na nagbe-bear ng structure na gumagawa ng gametes. Okay? So, you have them, both male and female parts are present in this flower. Okay? There are certain flowers, and I'll show you one plant in particular later, na magkahiwalay yung male at female na flowers. Okay? So, yon baka hindi pa kayo nakakita. May ganong klaseng plant. Okay. So, pasensya na medyo sabog-sabog dahil nabugbog na tong bulaklak na to. After kong pitasin, nilagay ko siya sa bag ko, medyo nabugbog na siya. Okay. So, how do you know that you're looking at the male part or the female part? Now, ang clue dyan talaga is that the pollen contains yung cells that will give rise to yung tinatawag na sperm nucleus at tube nucleus. Okay? So, if you've read about double fertilization, you would know that the male part is the one with the pollen. Okay? So, tingnan natin. Wala akong magnifying glass, so I'll just use the camera. Ayan. Okay. So, kung titignan nyo, ito yung may malaking stalk, this stalk here. Okay? Inside there is a tube that leads to one of the female parts. But here, we have yung male part is this whole thing na puro structure na may pollen. Okay? So, isa nito is called a stamen. Okay? So, I'll take one. Oop. Isa na kayo. Ayan. That is one stamen. Oops. I cannot focus on the stamen. Yeah. Sorry. Okay, ito na lang. That's as good as it gets. So, we have here a stamen. The stalk-like structure is called the filament. So, this attaches it to the rest of the flower. That's the filament. And this yellow thing here, yung parang head. Diba? Parang siyang pin. Right? So, the elongated part is the stalk. It's called the filament. And then the head part there, parang yung head ng pin, is the anther. So, dyan mo makikita yung pollen. Okay? Dun sa, kita nyo yung yellow na bulbous part sa tip. That is the anther. Okay? And the filament is the stalk. This is collectively called the stamen. This is the male part. Okay? So, dito, sa loob ng pollen, kasi doon pinoproduce yung male gametes. Okay? So, kaya yung pollen ang nagfa-fertilize. So, when you pollinate, that is when you actually transfer, so the structures that contain the male gametes or the pollen, okay, to the female part. Okay? So, yan yung isang stamen. Pero dito sa, hindi ko matanggal. Okay. Sa Gumamela, dito sa Hibiscus, marami siyang stamen. Dito. Okay. So, near the top of this big stalk here, you have a cluster of, kita nyo ba, stamens. Okay. Now, at the very tip of this whole stalk, yun yung part ng female. Okay. So, I think we need to dissect again. So, kita nyo dito. Kita nyo ba? Meron ng pollen na napunta na dun sa female part. So, yun yung nangyayari during pollination. The pollen is transferred to this part here. Yan yung nagre-receive ng pollen. Okay? Which eventually travels down to the eggs later on. So, let's try to cut this apart. Oh, gosh. I'm very anxious about it. I don't want to destroy the whole flower, but that's what we're doing anyway. We're dissecting. So, I'll try to cut here. So, I'm removing the outside of this stalk so that we can separate the male and the female parts. Nako, matagal na akong, I'm a crafter, guys. Pero dahil busy sa start ng school year, medyo matagal na akong hindi nakapag-craft. So, ang aking cutter skills ay medyo kulang. Okay? Tumatabingi na ako. Saan na ba ako? Okay. Oh. Still intact. Okay. Sorry. Off camera ba? Ayun. Ayun. You see that white thing? Sorry. Nakaharang pala yung aking thumb. So that white stalk in there is part of the female reproductive parts. There. Nice. Okay. I haven't done this in a while. I'm so happy na hindi ko siya nasira. Okay. So, there's a tube here. Inside. Okay. So, we'll just continue cutting. Sorry, guys. Okay. I'll do it. Ayoko rin namang sirain yan. Si stamen. So, medyo nakat ko siya. Okay. Oh, no. Ayan. Oops. Sorry. Nakahalang yung kamay ko. So, this is the female part. Ay. Medyo nakadikit pa siya dun sa... What? May nakabalot pa siya. Okay. Look, there. Ang laki niya. Actually, hindi ko na nga pinili yung pinakamalaking flower. Nahiya naman ako dun sa neighbor namin. Kung kunin ko pa yung parang pinaka-star na flower doon. So, I pick like the next biggest flower na lang. Ooh. The sap, well, yes, the plant sap is a little sticky. Okay. Excuse me. Okay. So, yan. Yung female part na, ooh. Here we go. Nice. Okay. So, I've taken out yung yung labas nung parang stalk. Okay? With the stamens intact. Well, except for one that I removed earlier. So, ito yung stalk ng flower na may male parts with the stamens there. I'll just leave it here. And we'll take a closer look at the female part. Laki niya. I don't know if I can fit it sa view. Right. So, this is the female part. So, you have this sort of head part then. Might mistake it for yung male part. Kasi meron na siyang pollen. This is the stigma. Okay? So, yan, sa tuktok niyan, may parang, diba? May flat surface. Well, sort of malaking surface area na, hindi tayo makafocus, guys. Sorry. Dapat yata tanggalin ko yung gumamela sa likod para hindi siya doon mag-focus. Anyway, so if you can see it, oh no, you can't. Let's see. Sorry, ang kulit. Ang kulit ng pag-focus. Okay, yan. I guess that's the best we can do. That big red roundish surface there, that's the stigma. Okay, side view. Medyo flat. So, dyan, kung dumidikit yung pollen. So, kita mo may parts na yellow na siya. Kasi, oh no, ayaw mag-focus. Tatakpan ko yung pinofocusan niya. Sorry. Okay. Ayaw niya. Anyway. Layo. Okay. So, mas kita nyo pa yung malayo. So, the parts there that have yellow, yan na yung pollen. Okay? So, yung red, yun yung stigma. Tapos, yung yellow na powdery stuff, that's already the pollen grains. Nandun na sila sa stigma. Most of the time, the stigma is sticky. So that the pollen grains will adhere to them. Okay? Para mas ayan! Nag-focus din sa wakas. Kailangan ko palang ilapit yung finger ko. Okay. So, you can see the pollen grains on the stigma. Okay? So, that happens during pollination. And what happens is that, from the pollen grains, you have the cells that will give rise to the sperm nuclei. Okay? Pero, kailangan niya mag-travel down the tube, and this tube here is called the style. Okay? So, stigma, style, kasi nandito yung ovary, where the eggs are. Okay? So, that's the whole female part. This is called the pistil. Okay? So, remember, yung sa male, stamen ang tawag. It's made up of filament and the anther. Sa female, it's called the pistil. Or in some books, I think it's called the carpet. Okay? So, the pistil is made up of the stigma, which receives the pollen. So, the style is like the tunnel or the stalk that the sperm will travel through. And then, there's the ovary here at the bottom. Okay? This bulbous structure here. Okay. Nakasunod that's the female part. Now, we're going to open it up to see what's inside the ovary. Kasi nga sabi natin doon, yung final destination ni male gamete. Okay? Teka, pagtabihin naman natin para, yan, si male at si female na na magkatabi. Okay. So, male parts. The stamens are here. So we have a cluster of stamens here. And then the female part here, we have the pistil. Okay? So, sige. Tabi muna natin. Sorry, medyo bugbog na yung aking cutting mat. Okay? It's been used a lot. Okay. So, before I remove this pala, you have the stalk na, which we call the pedicel. This part here, where the ovary rests, you also have a fleshy part here. It's called the receptacle. Okay? Binabanggit ko na rin kasi, alam nyo, pagkatapos ng fertilization, double fertilization that happens in the case of the flowering plants, ang nangyayari dyan, diba? Magiging fruit yung some parts of the flower. And in some flowers, the receptacle actually becomes the fleshy part of the fruit. Okay? So, I'll just... Oh my gosh, 25 minutes. Ang daldal ko kasi. Okay. Tanggalin ko si ovary. Okay. So, this is the... Well, that was the receptacle. Medyo na-murder ko. Oh, okay. So, in some plants, magiging part siya ng fruit, yung receptacle. Okay? So, this is the ovary. We cut it open. Let's see what's inside. Where I cut din kanina. Okay, so longitudinal cut sa ovary. Why am I not seeing anything? Ayun, wait. There. Nandun ako sa gitna. Super fleshy part. I don't know if you can see it. There's the ovules. Ovules. Wait. I will leave the whole thing na. Kasi, baka masira ako palalo. So, nilalapit ko na yung buong cutting mat. Focus, focus, focus. Kailangan ba kamay ko na naman? Kita nyo dyan may mga maliliit na bilog-bilog. Yun yung ovules. And the ovules contain the eggs. Okay. Kita nyo? Magalaw siya. Kita nyo, yan yung maliliit na yan. Oop, dumidikit. Oops! It rolled off. Let's see if I just hold it. That works. Okay. Sorry. Okay. It's easier to see from this side. It's too bright. The light is too bright. Too bright. Let's see. Still too bright. Ayaw mag-focus. Okay. Ovule. Oh no. Sige. Ayan. Oops. Okay. Sorry about that. I knocked over the camera and then stopped filming. Okay, so I've put this white background here so it's easier to see. And I secured it with a cutter para hindi gumalaw. So, this is the ovary. Okay. You can see that at the center there, may mga naka-attach na bilog-bilog. Kita nyo ba? So, this is an individual ovule. Yan. Okay. So, yan. May ovule siya. Naku, mahuhulog na. We have the ovules. Okay. There. Okay. These contain the eggs. Okay. So, dun papunta yung spermonuclei na manggagaling dun sa pollen grains. And that is where fertilization takes place. And then later on, the ovules become the seeds. Okay. And then the rest of the flower will develop into the fruit, whatever type of fruit it is. Okay, so this is the ovary. Okay, or half of the ovary. It's better to see now. Okay, so you see the ovules there inside the ovary. Again, we have place it here where I got it. Oops. Zoom back out. Okay. So, ito yung half niya, diba? So, that's the female part again. Okay. Look. The stigma, the style, and the ovary. Okay. And then the male part, we have this, at this part of the stalk near the top, we have the stamens. And each stamen is made of an anther. A filament, the stalk, and then the anther. Okay. And then, of course, outside it, we have accessory parts. So, yung mga decorative parts, hindi naman decorative na walang function, pero ang function niya actually is to attract the pollinator. So, we have the petals. Okay. And then, when this flower was still a bud, you had the sepals to protect it. Okay. And then, you have also the bracts, hindi ko nakunin. So, ito yung stalk na nag-attach ng flower sa rest of the plant with the receptacle, that fleshy part on top. Okay. And then the stalk that attaches it to the rest of the plant is called the pedicel. Okay. So, before I stop view. Sorry, kita nyo aking stand. Oops, madilim. Medyo binago ko yung light. Okay. So, that's it, guys. Part D, flower dissection demo. If you have questions, just put it in the comments. Okay, dun sa post na to. I'll post it sa Google Classroom, guys. Okay, that's it, guys. See you next time. Bye.